Hello. Can you check the video and audio? Yeah, they can talk. I have opened everything. They can talk. Okay. Hello. Nobody is coming on the line. And how I will check it out. Tell your person to tell, because I am here. I am unmuted. I am not muted. From your side, I think it is muted. Okay. The video is okay, but I am not hearing what you are telling from the computer. I have to hear you from the computer. I am not hearing. Hello. 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 Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
Sound is not clear.
Hello.
Can you speak something? Can you hear
Sir,
me
good morning,
properly?
sir. Is the audio clear, sir, for you?
Your audio is clear?
Okay, sir. Your video is also clear, sir, here. We are able to see you.
Okay. From my side, your video is clear. Before that, it was not clear. It was echoing. Now it is okay.
Okay, sir. Everything looks good, sir.
Okay.
Now.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hello. Who is doing the program? That after Manmohan Singh speak, there are 3-4 speeches. Then you have to announce that he has to present the ceremony, the award. At that time, somebody have to show it there. He will just tell that the award is present. I'm presenting the award. Okay.
ಹಲೋ,
ಅವ್ರ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಇದೆ. ನಾವು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಇವಾಗ ಮ್ಯೂಟಲ್ಲೇ ಇದೆ. ನಾವು ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅನ್ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಮಾತಾಡಬೇಕು.
ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರ ಒಬ್ಬರು ಇರ್ಲಿ, ಒಂದು ಸೆಂಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಇಬ್ಬಿಬ್ಬರು ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಹಂಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದ್ದವ್ರು ಇದು ಮಾಡ್ಲಿ. ಈಗ ಅನ್ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ರಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನಾ ಹೆಂಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು?
ಏನಿಲ್ಲ ಸರ್, ಈ ಬೆರಳಿಗೆ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಅಂತ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ ಸರ್, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಟಚ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಸರ್ ಅದೊಂದು ಮ್ಯೂಟ್.
ಅಲ್ಲ, ಇದು ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕಲ್ಲಿ.
ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಸರ್ ಬರೋ ಸರ್, ನಾವು ಟಚ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಹಿಂಗಂದ್ರಿ ಲೆಫ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ತಗೊಂಡ್ರಿ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಸರ್. ಅಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಟಚ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಅಷ್ಟೇ.
Khargeji, can you just say a few words because we want to test your audio, please? Khargeji, can you please say a few words and switch on your video? Mute cheskunda. Okay. Sir, please unmute. Please unmute. Khargeji, please unmute.
ಹಲೋ,
Yes, sir. You're audible now.
ನಾವು audible.
Yes, sir. You are.
Now I am at your service.
Thank you so much, sir. We are so happy to have you here.
Thank you. ಅನ್ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದು.
ಮಾಡಬೇಕು.
ಮ್ಯೂಟ್, ರೈಟ್. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹೊಡೆದ?
ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್,
ಏನಿಲ್ಲ.
ಅವ್ರು ಇದು ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ರು ಸರ್.
ಹೋದಾಗಿದಲ್ಲ 12.
ಇನ್ನಿಲ್ಲ ಸರ್, ಇವ್ರ ಬರ್ಬೇಕು. ನಾವು ಒಬ್ರು ಬಂದಿದ್ದೀರಾ?
Karge Saab, namaskar. Can you hear me? Your thing is muted. It is not unmuted. Now it is unmuted.
Okay, thank you.
Namaskar. He is waiting. Whenever it is to start, I will call you.
Okay, I am also waiting for that.
No, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay. ಎಲ್ಲ ಕನ್ಫ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಡ.
ಈಗ ನೋಡಿ ಇದು ಏನ್ ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲೇ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು.
ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ತದೆ ಏನಿದೆ ಇಲ್ಲಲ್ಲ. ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಈಗ ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಬಾ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಚಾನ್ಸ್. ನಿನ್ನೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಟ್ರೈ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಈಗ ಕೊನೆಗಳಿಗೆವರೆಗೆ ಇನ್ನು ನೀವು ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇದೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೇಳೋದು ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ नमस्कार डॉक्टर साहब।
नमस्कार।
नमस्कार सर।
Start.
This person is Manik. He's a secretary AIC in Jaipur. फर्स्ट स्पीच होगा, उसके बाद एक और स्पीच है, उसके बाद
ಇಂಥ ಲೈವ್ ಇದ್ರೊಳಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ಲತ್ತೀನಲ್ಲ, ಬರ್ತದಲ್ಲ.
Shri will give you a response, please.
ಆಯ್ತಲ್ಲ ಹನ್ನೆರಡು
Just the thesis. What is
ಹನ್ನೆರಡು
that? Someone was clear.
2 ನಿಮಿಷ. ಹ್ಮ್?
Malikarjun Kharge is there.
I am here, sir. I said namaskar. You said no. Dr. Saab.
Namaskar.
Namaskar, sir. I said namaskar.
Namaskar, Kharge ji.
Now it's unblocked. Thank you.
Namaskar.
Thank you.
Namaskar.
Namaskar. Namaskar to Honorable Manmohan Singh ji. Kharge ji, welcome. Srinath Reddy Garu, you're here. Thank you. And Manikam Tagore ji, namaskar. And of our Prime Minister Garu is already here. I would request all our members in the audience to please be seated. And we are going to just start the proceedings straight away. I just want silence, please. Respected former Prime Minister of India, our beloved leader, Manmohan Singh ji, respected leader of the opposition, a veteran congressman, Kharge ji, namaskar, and Srinath Reddy Garu, a very, very eminent, world-renowned cardiologist. He is now heading the Public Health Foundation in India. He's the president of it. And this is doing yeoman service in the sector of public health. He is on many panels in the WHO. The UN has written 550 papers. He is an MBBS from Hyderabad, which is why I feel proud, because I'm a Hyderabad MBBS myself, and then went on to do gynecology in England. So welcome, Dr. Srinath Reddy Garu. We are all waiting to listen to your talk, not only on your association with PV Garu and Manmohan Singh ji, and also to talk about the current scenario of COVID in India, and of course, what are the future challenges? Because it's not left us, and maybe there is a third wave coming us also. So having said this, welcoming all of them, I now welcome our dynamic young AICC in charge of Telangana, MP Shri Manikam Tagore ji, who will also be talking to us, and I welcome him wholeheartedly. After that, I come to our most supportive, active, proactive PCC President, Shri Uttam Kumar Reddy Garu. Uttam Kumar Reddy Garu is the backbone of this program. He is the one who said that we must and should do the PV Centenary celebrations. So that is how he constituted a committee, and I'm fortunate to be heading that committee as its chairperson. But I have able people in my committee. A vice chairman, Mr. Sridhar Babu, who is an MLA, and of course a convener, Mr. Mahesh Gaud, who is also a very active person. And among my members, I have Mr. Mallu Ravi, who is another active member of the committee, Shri Vinod Garu, who has been an ambassador, and next to him seated is Niranjan ji, who is a committee member, and of course, next to him is Vinod ji, G. Venkatswamy, late Venkatswamy Garu, his son, who has been a minister. And next to him, is Dr. Shravan Kumar Reddy, who fought as an MP against KCR himself, and all the others who are present here, especially our former PCC President Shri Ponala Lakshmaya Garu, who never misses these programs. I welcome each and every one of you. Having welcomed you, I would like to first go in for the floral tributes to late P.V. Narasimha Rao Garu portrait, and after that, I would invite our TPCC President, Shri Uttam Kumar Reddy Garu, to come and give his opening remarks. So I invite everybody for the floral tributes. Please. I now invite TPCC President Shri Uttam Reddy Garu to come and give his comments and his message. Thank you.
Okay, please settle down. Dr. J. Geeta Reddy Garu, Chairman P.V. Narasimha Rao Birth Centenary Celebrations Committee of Telangana PCC, and honorable members of the committee, Dr. Manmohan Singh, Honorable Prime Minister, former Prime Minister of India, Dr. Srinath Reddy, a very distinguished doctor and the president today's PV Lifetime Achievement Awardee, Shri Manikam Tagore-ji, AICC in charge Telangana, Member of Parliament from Tamil Nadu, Shri Bose Raju and Shri Srinivasan, who are attending this program on Zoom app from their respective locations, friends and colleagues. It's my great privilege and pleasure to be able to address this occasion today. Today is the 100th birthday of one of the great sons of India, and we are all very proud, one of the greatest sons of Telangana. Undoubtedly, the greatest son of Telangana. He went on to, not only in the state, he is a freedom fighter himself. From an ordinary Congress party worker, he rose to be the PCC president and the chief minister of Telangana. He held every significant cabinet portfolio in Government of India and was the Prime Minister of India from 91 to 96. He was an MLA for several terms from Mantani constituency, from where today Sridhar Babu is the MLA. Before that, same constituency, Sridhar Babu's father was the MLA. Then he was an MP from Hanamkonda, MP from Nandyal, from Ramtek, and from Behrampur in Orissa. I also had the unique privilege of knowing P.V. Narasimha Rao Garu, both as family friends and as a close friend of my grandfather. And when I worked with the President of India, with President R. Venkatraman and President Shankar Dayal Sharma as a cabinet minister, and on several foreign tours, we traveled together, and I was really fortunate to listen to him in personal conversation on many subjects. P.V. Narasimha Rao will be remembered in Telangana and in the country for the landmark reforms that he brought. He is known for the financial reforms. He and Dr. Manmohan Singh ji changed the financial landscape of India forever.
Sir.
Yes.
Sir.
He changed the financial structure of India forever. And today, if India is in the one of the global superpowers financially, it is due to the efforts then commenced by Shri P.V. Narasimha Rao Garu and Dr. Manmohan Singh ji. I'm really happy that Manmohan Singh ji agreed at a short notice and on just one letter and a call to be present at today's function. I heartfully thank you, sir. It's really kind of you to spare your valuable time. P.V. Narasimha Rao Garu was himself a freedom fighter, was a grassroots Congress worker, a PCC president, a chief minister. As chief minister, he brought in path-breaking land reforms. Today, a lot of people in power lie to the weaker sections about land that they want to give. As a result of P.V. Narasimha Rao's Land Ceiling Act in Telangana, so many Dalits and tribals, landless Dalits and tribals received lakhs of acres in those days. These were path-breaking land reforms for the whole country. Land Ceiling Act of Andhra Pradesh, though it caused a lot of heartburn among a lot of landlords, I think for this country, this Land Ceiling Act brought by PV was a significant step of empowering the Dalits and tribals. I will just say a word about Dr. Srinath Reddy. I am really happy that Srinath is here today to receive the PV Birth Centenary Celebrations Committee Lifetime Achievement Award. I must also confess that Srinath is a childhood friend of mine. His father, Mr. Raghunath Reddy, was a union minister and then governor of West Bengal. His mother, Dr. Sarojini Reddy, was a very famous doctor, probably the most famous gynecologist in the 60s and 70s and the 50s too. And she was a doctor in attendance when I was born. So with the family of Dr. Srinath Reddy, I have known them for the time I was born. And I must say a couple of things about him. Today he is receiving the Lifetime Achievement Award. A man of principles, a man of values, a man of convictions, a man of commitment. He's one of the most competent cardiologists in the country. If he wanted to go to private practice, he would have probably made crores of rupees. He dedicated his life, his medicine, to the service of the people. He was a very distinguished cardiologist in All India Institute of Medical Sciences. And then he opted out to himself establish a public health foundation of India and work relentlessly for the public health of the general public of India. It's really a historic occasion today. This is P.V. Narasimha Rao's 100th birthday. Dr. Manmohan Singh, who was one of the greatest prime ministers of India, is here today as the chief guest, and to give away the award, Shri Mallikarjun Kharge, who holds the record for the maximum number of consecutive electoral victories in India. He has won 11 elections in a row. He has risen from Mallikarjun Kharge ji is a Dalit giant of this country. He rose from very ordinary level to 9 times as an MLA, MP, and now he was the leader of the opposition in the Lok Sabha last term and is leader of the opposition in Rajya Sabha now. I heartily thank Kharge ji for accepting our invitation to attend this meeting. I thank Srinath for accepting our invitation and coming today. And I must say a word. I thank Shri Manikam Tagore ji, MP from Tamil Nadu and our AICC in charge. I thank our AA secretaries, Bose Raju ji and Srinivasan Garu. I thank Revant Reddy, who is appointed, MP Revant Reddy appointed as the newly PCC President of Telangana. So probably this is also, I'm happy that such a distinguished program, this is probably also the last program I'll be attending as a PCC President. And I thank every one of you here. I mean, Mr. Punna Lakshmaya, Jana Reddy Garu, Mallu Ravi, Vinod, Niranjan Garu, G. Vinod, everybody, please don't mind if I miss some names. And lastly, I must say, as the outgoing PCC President, that Dr. Geeta Reddy Garu has done a yeoman job as the chairman of this committee. Geeta Reddy was the chairman, Sridhar Babu was the vice chairman. Sridhar Babu and his family were very close to PV's family, both personally. Then there are people like Venugopal who have coordinated with PV's family. Mahesh Gaud, recently just appointed as the working president, did all the legwork for this committee. If I have forgotten somebody's name, please don't mind it. You must excuse me. V. Hanumantrao, as the honorary chairman of the committee, is hospitalized in ICU, so hence he could not attend this function. Even this program, today's program of 28 June, I must say that when a week back Dr. Geeta Reddy told me that we must organize, I said, ma'am, I'm stepping down, so would it not be more appropriate for somebody else to come and do it? She said, no, you only have to organize it. So both of us worked on inviting Dr. Manmohan Singh, Dr. Srinath Reddy, Shri Mallikarjun Kharge, Shri Manikam Tagore, and all the other distinguished guests who are here. I would like to conclude saying that PV was one of the great sons of Telangana, one of the great prime ministers of India, and today is 100th birthday being celebrated in Gandhi Bhavan is a great occasion. Due to COVID-19, we are having to do it as a virtual program. Even then, the response has been overwhelming. I thank everybody, and I once again thank Dr. Manmohan Singh, Shri Mallikarjun Kharge, and Dr. Srinath Reddy. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Uttam Kumar Reddy Garu, you virtually covered everything. And I welcomed Mr. Jana Reddy Garu, who has come just now, I think. And of course, we've seen our President-elect, Revant Reddy Garu. Meeku welcome and namaskaram. Pallam Raju Gariki namaskaram, Bose Raju Gariki kuda namaskaram. Now we go on with the program. We have the message from our honorary hello. Who should mute? Okay? I can go on. Now I have the honor of inviting our beloved former Prime Minister Shri Manmohan Singh ji to give his message. We all know so much about him that he was, along with PV, one of those who brought about the turnabout in our economic history of independent India. He will always and forever be remembered, and it's very coincidental that he has been there for the first inaugural program last year and again at the concluding program. Sir, I as the chairperson of this committee and my job finishes today, I have to wholeheartedly thank you for being here, and please go ahead with your message. Thank you very much.
My esteemed friend, and leader of the opposition in Rajya Sabha, Shri Kharge, dear friend Dr. Srinath Reddy ji, Shri Manik Tagore, Shri Pallam Raju, Shri Uttam Kumar Reddy, Dr. P.V. Manohar Rao, Dr. Geeta Reddy, Shri R. D. Sridhar Babu, Shri Mahesh Kumar Gaut, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, I am truly honored to be present at this function for presenting the Lifetime Achievement Award to Dr. K. Srinath Reddy, the renowned cardiologist and public health expert, on the occasion of the concluding program of the birth centenary celebration of Shri P.V. Narasimha Rao, our beloved former Prime Minister. I am very glad that the centenary birth celebrations of our former Prime Minister, Shri P.V. Narasimha Rao ji, were being celebrated in a magnificent manner, and they are concluding today, the 28th June of 2021. Shri P.V. Narasimha Rao ji was truly a sannyasi in politics. He was a rare scholar and statesman who gave a new sense of direction to India's economic and also our foreign policies. It is very significant that we are presenting this Lifetime Achievement Award to Dr. K. Srinath Reddy, who served as the personal physician to Shri P.V. Narasimha Rao when he was the Prime Minister of India. Dr. Reddy's services to the then Prime Minister were indeed praiseworthy. During that period, Dr. Reddy was a renowned cardiologist at the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, New Delhi. He went on to become the head of the Department of Cardiology in the All India Institute of Medical Sciences. Dr. Reddy is currently the president of the Public Health Foundation of India. Under its distinguished leadership, Public Health Foundation of India has established 5 Indian institutes of public health in different regions of our country to advance multidisciplinary public health education, research, health technologies, and implementation support for strengthening the health system in various parts of our country. Dr. Reddy was appointed as the first Bernard Lawn visiting the professor of cardiovascular health at the Harvard School of Public Health, and presently he is serving as an adjunct professor of epidemiology at Harvard, Emory, and Sydney universities. Dr. Reddy has recently published a book entitled Make Health in India Reaching a Billion Plus. In this book, Dr. Reddy studies the challenges arising from a weak public health system and the adverse socio-economic consequences that result thereof. The book does an excellent job of critically analyzing the various policy initiatives taken by the government. Dr. Reddy is the first Indian to be elected to the National Academy of Medicine, USA, and has been awarded several prestigious international and national doctorates and fellowships. He was president of the World Health Federation. He chaired the core advisory group on health and human rights for the National Human Rights Commission of India for several years, and he has been a member of the first Science and Engineering Research Board of India. He is also an advisor to the governments of Odisha and Andhra Pradesh on health. In recognition of his contributions in the field of medical sciences, the Government of India conferred upon Dr. Reddy Padma Bhushan Award, which is the third highest civilian award in the Republic of India. On this occasion of the concluding day of the centenary birth celebrations of Shri P.V. Narasimha, we must pay tribute to the boldness with which he grasped the nettle of economic reforms. Under the leadership of Prime Minister Narasimha, we took momentous decisions, both with respect to our economic policy and with respect to our foreign policy. One of the significant aspects of the economic reforms that we initiated was that they took into account the unique nature of the realities of the Indian situation. Shri P.V. Narasimha strongly felt that the reforms would have to be mindful of Indian concerns and would have to protect the interests of our poor and our working people. Prime Minister Narasimha brought realism to the fore in Indian foreign policy. He tried to improve India's relations with our neighbors. We launched what has come to be known as India's Look East policy, linking India to many East and Southeastern Asian countries. Under his leadership, we launched the Ballistic Missile Technology Program. We successfully tested the Augmented Satellite Launch Vehicle and Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle. We also tested our Prithvi missile, which was subsequently developed into an intermediate range ballistic missile. Let me end by congratulating Dr. Srinath Reddy on the Lifetime Achievement Award he is receiving today. I wish him all the very best for his continued services in the field of medical science. I also take this opportunity to pay my tribute to the memory of the great leader of our country, our former Prime Minister, Shri P. Raj. I thank you.
Now I invite one of the tallest leaders in the country, Mr. Kharge ji. Mr. Uttam Kumar Reddy ji has already spoken a lot about Kharge ji. Well, he's an inspiration to every politician in the country, regardless of the party. He has won 11 elections, 9 of them as the assembly. He has been the leader of the opposition in the Karnataka Assembly. He's also been the PCC president of the Karnataka PCC. And of course, he has been the LOP in the Lok Sabha and now LOP in the Rajya Sabha. So very sagacious and a very, very astute politician. I now call upon Shri Khargeji to give his message.
Thank you. Respected Dr. Manmohan Singh ji, Shri Uttam Kumar Reddy ji, Dr. Geeta Reddy, newly appointed Congress President Shri Revant Reddy, and Shri Manik Tagore, General Secretary in charge Telangana, and a man who is getting the lifetime award from the committee about the health issues, Dr. Srinath Reddy ji, and all respected participants and friends. It is a very grateful occasion for me because I have known Shri Narasimha Rao ji since I got elected for the first time in 1972. When he became PM, at that time also, I was a CLP leader of Karnataka, and I got an opportunity to work closely with him. It is my privilege to speak on this occasion today. Shri Narasimha Rao ji his mentor was Mr. Swami Vivekananda, Swami Ramananda Tirth, who represented a Gulbarga, which was my constituency till yesterday. And in the first general elections in 1952, Swami Ramananda Tirth ji got elected. And Ramananda Tirth ji has groomed many youngsters, including P.V. Narasimha Rao ji, in the politics in Hyderabad state. And many stalwarts today you can find in the Indian politics, they all are his followers. So recognizing Shri Narasimha Rao ji's caliber, Srimati Indira Gandhi ji brought him to the center as Union Minister and entrusted him with the important portfolio of defense and external affairs, home, etc. When Shri Rajiv Gandhi ji revamped the education department, he created HRD ministry, and he was the first HRD minister in the country. His rich political and administrative experience eventually led him to be elevated to a high office of Prime Minister of India in 1991. When he took over, India was facing a severe economic crisis, as already our respected former Prime Minister explained. As a Prime Minister, he recognized the expertise Dr. Manmohan Singh ji's as an economist to put India on the path of economic recovery and growth. The gold that was mortgaged by the previous government was brought back by the Narasimha Rao government. By the end of 90s, India became an IT superpower and one of the major emerging economies of the world. As Prime Minister, we should also remember him for fulfilling the dream of Rajiv Gandhiji by passing a 73rd and 74th Amendment of Indian Constitution to empower the Panchayati Raj and Nagar Palika system. This led to the political empowerment of women, weaker sections, through the roster system. It is a great achievement of him and great help to the poor people. He introduced the Unigauge system in Indian Railways to convert nearly 25,000 kilometers of meter gauge and 5,000 kilometers of narrow gauge into a broad gauge. When Shri Narasimha Rao took over as Prime Minister, the global political scenario had undergone a significant change. Soviet Union had collapsed and India had lost a strong ally. But he managed to ensure that India could counter the threats of both Pakistan and China. It was also under this Congress government that India managed to bring the threat of terrorism under control. Both Punjab and Jammu and Kashmir returned to normalcy in the 90s and had regular elections since then in Jammu Kashmir. We should not forget that he sent the opposition leader, Sri Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji, to represent India at the United Nations meeting. He sent Vajpayee ji not because Vajpayee ji was an orator. It was to show that India was united against both internal and external threats. He would engage with the opposition and take them into confidence. Despite running a coalition government, he was able to pass many difficult reforms and take tough decisions. Shri Narasimha Rao was a rare statesman who did not try to take credit for his government's achievement. And former President Abdul Kalam gave credit to the nuclear test to Narasimha Rao government. But Sri Vajpayee gave credit to Sri Rao only after his death in 2004. That's why our Honorable former Prime Minister mentioned this, what Narasimha Rao did about this nuclear test. He had the courage and conviction to face and resolve problems. Unlike the current government, which refuses even to accept that the country today faces an economic crisis, Sri Rao bravely faced the issues facing the country. Everyone knows that he knew many languages, both Indian and foreign languages. But few knew that he was well-versed in computer programming also. He was one of the most scholarly prime ministers we have had. We will always remember his contributions in setting the country on the path to progress on the compassionate ideals of Mahatma Gandhiji, a liberal ideals of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehruji, and progressive ideals of Srimati Indira Gandhiji and Sri Rajiv Gandhiji. So I pay my heartfelt respects to him on this occasion, and I also congratulate Dr. Srinath Reddy getting this award. Once again, I thank the committee and all the members who have taken this cause to celebrate centenary celebration. PV Narasimha Raoji is a great thing. So once again, I thank the committee and I conclude my few words with tribute. Jai Hind.
Thank you very much, sir. That was a very, very enlightening message. And now we go on, as the program moves forward, to our committee patron, the younger brother of late Shri P.V. Narasimha Rao, the well-known, world-renowned Prime Minister of our country, who brought in the reforms, land and of course, economic reforms. P.V. Manohar Rao Garu has always been very supportive family member to our program. He has been there every time we had a program throughout the year. And now, Manohar Rao Garni మాట్లాడాల్సిందిగా నేను కోరుతూ సమయాభావం అవుతా ఉంది. Time constraints are coming up, so I would request all the speakers to be as brief as they possible. Thank you so much.
Sir, please unmute your mic, sir. మనోహరరావు గారు మీ మైక్ అన్మ్యూట్ చేయాలండి.
ఇప్పుడు వస్తుందా? హలో, ఓకు ఉన్నా నేను. హలో
సార్ చెప్పండి, సార్ చెప్పండి.
ఇప్పుడు వస్తుందా?
వస్తుందండి.
ఇప్పుడు స్టార్ట్ చేయమంటారా?
ఎస్ సార్, ఎస్ సార్, స్టార్ట్ చేయండి.
ఈనాటి సభలో పాల్గొన్నటువంటి పిసిసి ప్రెసిడెంట్, ప్రస్తుత పిసిసి ప్రెసిడెంట్ ఉత్తమ్ కుమార్ రెడ్డి, గీతారెడ్డి గారికి, ఇతర పార్టిసిపెంట్స్, తర్వాత కమిటీ సభ్యులకు, తర్వాత ఈ మధ్యనే నూతనంగా పిసిసి ప్రెసిడెంట్ అయినటువంటి రేవంత్ రెడ్డి గారికి, వారి యొక్క బృందానికి ముందుగా అభినందనలు, శుభాభినందనలు తెలుపుతున్నాను. పివి గారి జయంతి సందర్భంలో బహుశా ఇది 3వ 4వ మీటింగ్ చేస్తున్నారు. పోయిన సంవత్సరం నుంచి అనేక కార్యక్రమాలు అనేక చోట్ల జరుగుతున్నాయి. పివి గారి గురించి తెలియని వాళ్ళు ఎవరు లేరు. ఆయన గురించి ఇప్పుడు కూడా మీరు చాలా మంది మాట్లాడుతున్నారు. రాజకీయంగా ఆయన ఎప్పుడు ఏమి సంస్కరణలు తీసుకొచ్చాడు, ఎక్కడెక్కడ మంత్రిగా, ముఖ్యమంత్రిగా, కేంద్రంలో ఎన్ని పోర్ట్ఫోలియోలు ఆయనే చేసినాడు, తర్వాత ప్రధానమంత్రి అయినాడు, ఎన్ని సంస్కరణలు తీసుకొచ్చినాడు, ఎక్కడున్నటువంటి భారతదేశం ఎక్కడ ఉన్నటువంటి దాన్ని ఎక్కడికి తీసుకెళ్ళాడు, ఇవన్నీ మీకు తెలుసు. నేను మీ అందరికీ వయసులో పెద్దవాణిగా పివి గారి మీద ఉన్న అభిమానంతో మీరు ఇంత పెద్ద కార్యక్రమాలు చేస్తున్నారు కాబట్టి ఆయన గొప్పతనం గురించి మనం దేశానికి, ఇప్పటి యువతరానికి తెలియడానికి మీరు ఇన్ని కార్యక్రమాలు చేస్తున్నారు కాబట్టి నేను ఒక 2-3 విషయాలే నేను ప్రస్తావించదలుచుకున్నాను. ఆ రోజు నుంచి నేను ఇప్పటిదాకా, నాకు ఇప్పుడు 86 సంవత్సరాలు, ఇప్పటిదాకా నేను అన్ని కార్యక్రమాలు చూస్తున్నాను. పివి గారి గురించి, ఆదర్శాల గురించి, వారి సంస్కరణ గురించి, వారి సంస్కారం గురించి ఇప్పుడు నేర్చుకోవలసింది యువతతో పాటు ముఖ్యంగా మీరు ఏమనుకోకపోతే రాజకీయ నేతలు. ఆ రోజు పివి గారు ఎన్ని మీటింగులలో మాట్లాడినా ఒక్కటి మీకు ఏమన్నా గుర్తుందా? ఒక్కటేమన్నా నాకు ఉదాహరణ ఇస్తారా? ఎదుటి వ్యక్తి, ఆపోజిషన్ లో ఉన్న వాళ్ళను కానీ, ఎదుటి వ్యక్తిని కానీ పేరు పెట్టి ఎవరినన్నా ఆయన దూషించాడా? ఆయన మేనిఫెస్టో పట్టుకునేది, మేనిఫెస్టోలో ఏం రాశారు వాళ్ళు, ఆ మేనిఫెస్టోలో ఉన్నటువంటి ఇది గనక ఈ ప్రోగ్రామును మనం చేసినట్టు ఏది ఉంటే ప్రజలకు ఏం జరుగుతుంది, అది నష్టమా లాభమా, ఆ విధంగా ఆయనే ప్రజలను ఉద్దేశించి, లీడర్లను ఉద్దేశించి మాట్లాడిండు కానీ వ్యక్తిగతంగా దూషించలేదు. మన స్వతంత్ర దేశం 75 సంవత్సరాలు అయింది స్వతంత్రం వచ్చి, ఇంకా 10 కాలాలు ఉండాలి అనుకుంటే ముందు ఈ సంస్కారం నేర్చుకోవాలి. దూషణ భూషణలతో రాజకీయం నడవదు. దానివల్ల ఈ రోజులలో ఎట్లా తయారైందంటే ఒక మనిషి, ఒక వ్యక్తిని, ఒక పెద్ద మనిషిని ఎన్నిసార్లు ఎంత దూషణ చేస్తే, ఎంత తిట్లు చెడితే అంత గొప్పవాడైపోతుంది. బయట వాళ్ళు కూడా చప్పట్లు కొడుతున్నారు, ఆహా ఎంత బాగా మాట్లాడుతున్నారు. ఆ పద్ధతి మానుకుంటేనే ఈ దేశమైనా బాగుంటుంది. అదే కాకుండా పివి గారు చేసినటువంటి శాంతియుత కార్యక్రమాలు 1-2 ఏంటి ఇప్పుడు చెప్పారు. సంస్కరణల గురించి ఆయన ముఖ్యమంత్రిగా ఉన్నప్పుడు భూ సంస్కరణల గురించి చెప్పారు. రాజకీయం అంటే అరాజకీయం చేయడం కాదు, రక్తపాతం ప్రవహించడం కాదు, శాంతియుతంగా సభ్యులుగా అందరూ ప్రజలంతా శాంతి సుఖాలతో ఉండాలనే ఉద్దేశంతో ఆ రోజు భూ సంస్కరణ తీసుకుపోయినట్టు అయి ఉంటే, ఒక విధంగా చెప్పాలంటే రక్తపాతం కూడా జరగదేమో. అలాగే మీరు బాబ్రీ మస్జిద్ తీసుకుంటే ఇప్పుడు అందరు తిడుతున్నారు చాలా మంది. బాబ్రీ వల్ల అక్కడ గవర్నమెంట్ హైకోర్టుకు ఎఫిడవిట్ ఇచ్చింది, మేము ఇక్కడ ఏమి అల్లర్లు కానీయము, బాబ్రీ మస్జిద్ నష్టం కానీయము అని చెప్పారు. అట్లాంటిది మరి ఒక ప్రధానమంత్రి కానీ, సెంట్రల్ గవర్నమెంట్ కానీ ఎట్లా ఇంటర్ఫియర్ అవుతుంది చెప్పండి? ఆ సందర్భంలో అక్కడ ఇంట్లో ఏదో మౌనమనిగా కూర్చున్నాడు, ఆయన నిద్రపోతున్నాడు, మందులు వేసుకున్నాడు అని పరిపరి విధాలుగా మాట్లాడారు. ఆ రోజు ఆయనే మనం అనుకున్న ప్రకారంగా ఒకవేళ మిలిటరీ కనుక ఫైరింగ్ కనుక ఆర్డర్ ఇచ్చినట్టయితే, ఓ 50 మంది 100 మంది కనుక మరణించినట్టయితే అసలు దేశంలో ఏం జరిగేది? ఎంత రక్తపాతం జరిగేది? 1000 మంది చచ్చిపోయేవాళ్ళు కదా. మరి అది కాకుండా చేసిండు అని చెప్పంటే అది రాజకీయజ్ఞులు చేయటువంటి పరిస్థితి అది. అందుకోసం అట్లాంటి విషయాలు మనకు ఆయన చెప్పినటువంటి, ఆయన నడిచినటువంటి, ఇప్పుడే భూ సంవత్సరాలు వచ్చినప్పుడు ఆయన 800 ఎకరాలు ఇచ్చాడు. ఆయన ముందు నడిచి ఇతరులు నడవడానికి ఆస్కారం చేశాడు. మరి అట్లాంటి దాన్ని మనం ఇవాళ నేర్చుకోవాల్సి ఉన్నది. మనం పిల్లలకు కానీ యూత్కి కానీ నేర్పాల్సినటువంటి ఉన్నది. ఆయన చేసేటువంటి అనేక కార్యక్రమాలు మనం ఏదో ఎవరో చేస్తున్నారు మనం చేయాలి అనే సంకల్పం కాకుండా సత్సంకల్పంతో చిత్తశుద్ధితోటి ఏదైనా కార్యక్రమం చేస్తే ఆయన గురించి బాగుంటుంది. ఈ జయంతి ఏంది ఇంకా ముందు కూడా చెయ్యొచ్చు, కానీ నాకు తెలియదు ఈ శత జయంతి వరకు ఎవరు ఏం మాట్లాడేది ఆయన గురించి. ఇప్పుడు అందరూ మాట్లాడుతున్నారు. దానికి ముఖ్య కారణం మంచి మాట ఏదైనా చేస్తే మంచిగా చెప్పేసి ఉండేది ఉంటే ఎదుటి వాళ్ళు ఇది మంచి అని అనడానికి మనం ఎందుకు భయపడాలి? లేదా మనం మంచి చేస్తే ఎదుటివాడు ఎందుకు భయపడాలి? ఆయనకి ఏమన్నా పేరు ఎక్కువ వస్తుందా, నాకేమన్నా పేరు తక్కువ వస్తుందా? ఈ రాజకీయంలో ఈ బాగా ఇప్పుడు పనిచేస్తున్నాయి. అట్లా చేయడం అంటే దానివల్ల ఇది కాదు. దీనికి ఇవాళ మాట్లాడారంటే మనం ఈ మీటింగ్లో నేను చెప్పాల్సింది కాదు. సూత్రధారు ఎవరు ఒక ముఖ్యమైనటువంటి వారు పివి శతానికి ఘనంగా చేయాలి అని చెప్పారంటే ఒక్కొక్కళ్ళు అందరూ మొత్తం ప్రపంచం అంతా వ్యాపించిందండి. అది ఇప్పుడు చేసిన వాళ్ళల్లో కూడా అన్నిటికన్నా ఎక్కువ చేసింది సాహితీవేత్తలు చేశారు, కవులు చేశారు, పండితులు చేశారు. శాశ్వతంగా ఉన్నటువంటి బోలెడని పుస్తకాలు, వ్యాసాలు ఎన్నో వచ్చినాయి. అవన్నీ అది శాశ్వతంగా ఉండే పని. మనం చేయాల్సింది కూడా ఏదన్నా అట్లాంటివి శాశ్వతంగా ఉండేవి. మీటింగులు పెట్టి 10 మందికి చెప్పడం కాదు కదా. మనం ఏదైనా చేస్తే శాశ్వతం ఉండి ఆయన పేరు మీద చేయదలుచుకుంటే ఆయనను జ్ఞాపకం ఉంచుకునే చేయటువంటి అవకాశం ఉండేది ఉంటే మనం చేస్తే బాగుంటుంది. మీ అందరూ కూడా ఈ యొక్క కార్యక్రమం చేస్తున్నందుకు ఒకసారి అభినందిస్తున్నాను. ఇవాళ మన్మోహన్ సింగ్ గారు కూడా ఇది దాదాపు 3 సార్లు 4 సార్లు ఈ సంవత్సరంలో పార్టిసిపేట్ చేశారు. వారికి కూడా నేను కృతజ్ఞతలు చెప్తున్నాను. వారికి తెలుసు ఇవాళ మీరు ఇచ్చేటువంటి పివి మెమోరియల్ ఏదైతే అవార్డు ఇస్తున్నారో మన్మోహన్ సింగ్ గారి చేతుల మీదుగా ఆ రోజు 107లో ఆయన చేతుల మీదుగా డాక్టర్ మన్మోహన్ సింగ్ కి జీవీ కృష్ణమూర్తికి నిర్మలా దేశపాండే వారి చేతుల మీదుగా పివి మెమోరియల్ గోల్డ్ మెడల్స్ ఇచ్చారు. ఆ రోజు ఆయన మాట్లాడాడు, నాకు పొలిటికల్ గురువు పివి నరసింహారావు అని అందులో మీటింగ్లో చెప్పి వారి గురించి కొన్ని విషయాలు మాట్లాడారు. ఇప్పుడు కూడా వారి గురించి ఇప్పుడు జ్ఞాపకం చేసుకుంటున్నారు. ఇప్పుడు జ్ఞాపకం చేసినా ఎవరు చేసినా ఏది చేసినా భవిష్యత్తులో ప్రజలకు యువతకు ఉపయోగపడే విధంగా మీరు రాజకీయాన్ని వాడుకోండి. రాజకీయంగా అయ్యో ఈ నేత ఇట్లా ఉన్నాడు అని చెప్పేటట్టు ముందు తరాల వారికి ఆదర్శంగా ఉండండి. ఈ యొక్క అవకాశం ఇచ్చారు నాకు. ఇది ప్రత్యేకంగా నేను పార్టిసిపేట్ అయ్యే పరిస్థితి కూడా లేదు, మీరు చూస్తూనే ఉన్నారు. ఎందుకంటే కంప్యూటర్లో నేను వేలు పెట్టలేదు. నాకు ఏదైనా ఉంటే ఇప్పటికి కూడా నేను కాగితం మీద రాసుకుంటాను, కానీ లేదు. మొత్తానికి మళ్ళీ ఈ గీతారెడ్డి గారికి, మీ కమిటీ వాళ్లకు, కొత్త కమిటీకి అందరికీ శుభాశీస్సులు, శుభ అభినందనలు తెలియజేస్తూ సర్వే జనా సుఖినో భవంతు.
కృతజ్ఞతలన్నా. థ్యాంక్ యూ అండి. అయిపోయిందా? థ్యాంక్ యూ అండి మనోహరరావు గారు. మీరు రావడం మాకు ఎప్పుడు సపోర్టివ్గా ఉంటారు, కార్యక్రమాల్లో పాల్గొంటారు. మీకు మనస్ఫూర్తిగా మా కమిటీ తరఫున, పిసిసి తరఫున ధన్యవాదాలు తెలియజేస్తూ, మరి ఫ్రెండ్స్, there is a little change in the program. We had to finish the program by 1 o'clock. There are more speakers. So to allow the speakers to speak comfortably, ఇప్పుడు మనము అవార్డ్ సెరమనీని ముందుగా తీసుకొస్తున్నాం. So we are going into the award ceremony. I hope our former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh Ji's office is listening. So we would like to now point out to the award that we are giving to our distinguished speaker, Professor K. Srinath Reddy Garu. So someone please focus on the award now. That is the award and a painting. and all these. Painting kuda teesetti chupichandi evaro. This is a special painting made in few days by some very well-known artists. So I really congratulate them for doing something so short in time. This is for our awardee today, Dr. Srinath Reddy garu. This painting is a special effort of our member, one of our committee members, Mr. Shyam Mohan, who is our intellectual cell chairman and the brother of former late Minister Shri Madan Mohan garu. Now I request our awardee, as I earlier said, a very, very eminent personality in the field of medicine. We are proud that he has had his MBBS degree from Osmania, as I said earlier. Then he moved on to do MD and DM in AIMS in cardiology. And from then on, nothing could stop him because he has the rare distinction of being the personal physician to two prime ministers, and that to Congress prime ministers. One is the late P.V. Narasimha Rao garu, and of course he is also the personal physician of our Manmohan Singh Ji garu also. And he is an epidemiologist. He's also a task force member for COVID in the present government. And he is the right person to be speaking to us about COVID. COVID విషయాల గురించి కానీ ఇవన్నీ కూడా వారు పెద్ద ఎక్స్పర్ట్, వారు మాట్లాడబోతున్నారు. వారికి నేను ఇప్పుడు ఆహ్వానిస్తున్నాను డాక్టర్ శ్రీనాథ్ రెడ్డి గారు, who is now the president of the Public Health Foundation. We await your memorial lecture and your reply for today. Thank you very much.
Esteemed Dr. Manmohan Singh Ji, respected Shri Mallikarjun Kharge Ji, Dr. Geeta Reddy garu, chairperson of the PVNR Centenary Celebrations Committee, and Captain Uttam Reddy garu, who have been the principal organizers of this event, other dignitaries gracing the event as speakers, luminaries adding luster with their presence and participation, ladies and gentlemen. I am greatly honored and extremely humbled by this award, the first ever PVNR Lifetime Achievement Award instituted on the occasion of the late Prime Minister's Centenary celebrations. I am doubly honored to receive it from Dr. Manmohan Singh Ji. Indeed, more than any or all of my professional accomplishments, it is the unexpected good fortune of being closely associated with two great prime ministers of India that has been my proudest lifetime achievement. Rao garu and Dr. Singh transformed Indian economy, gained friends, allies, and admirers for India from governments and people across the world. To have moved in their shadows has been my proud privilege. I came into close contact with Shri Narasimha Rao garu in the summer of 1990 when I had to see him at home one Saturday afternoon when he was experiencing chest pain. When I visited him in his bedroom, despite all the problems that he was having, he was busy typing away on his laptop. Next day, in the coronary care unit of All India Institute of Medical Sciences, he was back on his laptop, typing out chapters of his memoirs for his later posthumously published book. I was amazed at his sthita prajna and admired his focused attention to goals. After he became the Prime Minister, I became his personal physician. I was almost the first to see him every morning. I had to travel with him on his travels outside of Delhi and on ceremonial occasions, even within Delhi. I had the occasion to see him interact with Indian and foreign leaders with courtesy, calm, and conviction in his ideas. Being a fly on the wall gave me a great opportunity to observe him, to learn from him, and to be inspired by him. Much has been said of his command over many languages, but I was still amazed by the extensive and insightful literary critique that he delivered when he presented the Gyanpith Award to a Marathi literature. He would ask his trusted aide, Mr. Ramu Damodaran, to bring him video cassettes of Spanish films so that he could continue to refresh his language skills. His refined and often wry sense of humor was something I could enjoy in the intimacy of close observation. I could go on about Rao Garu, but I've been asked to speak about COVID in India, so I shall attempt to do that as briefly as possible. Well, the first wave of COVID in India was well controlled because we started a fairly long lockdown very early when our cases were very few in number. But even the winding down of the lockdown in terms of unlocking was in stages, and considerable caution was exercised even later in 2020 for several months. Travel was restricted, large crowds were avoided, and even the festive season was muted. And that did pay dividends in terms of declining cases and death counts by early January, and it appeared that we had put the pandemic behind us, but that was an erroneous impression because the virus was still lurking around. The second wave caught us off guard with both the virus and the many variants that either came from abroad or emerged from within the country, now having an open highway to travel. We know what the devastation of the second wave has been. I do not need to recount it. But we now seem to be seeing the end of the second wave. But the speculation is whether there is likely to be a third wave. When will it arrive? Where will it arrive? And how severe it will be is a matter that's being hotly debated and discussed by the scientists, by the media, and by a public which is still very alarmed at the prospect. But there are several learnings from the earlier waves that we must actually imbibe and apply if we want to deal effectively with the prevention or even with the appropriate response to the third wave. Firstly, we have learned that the mode of spread involves both droplets and aerosols, something that we did not acknowledge in 2020, which means that masks are absolutely needed whenever persons are outside the house, and particularly in indoor environments where ventilation is limited. We know that super spreader events are dangerous, that when crowds gather, along with them, the virus celebrates. When people travel, along with them, the virus travels. And therefore, the amount of opportunity we provide to the virus should be as limited as possible. We know that herd immunity is a misleading concept which lulled us into complacency early this year when we felt the first wave had given us enough herd immunity and therefore we are never going to get it again. Firstly, herd immunity is a population attribute, not an individual attribute. We do not even know what the threshold of infection has to be for herd immunity to be arrived at in this population. But even if, let us say, 60% of a particular population group acquire immunity through natural infection, that may not be long lasting, because the viral load is very variable in a natural infection, and therefore the immunity may wane fairly soon in a few months. But even more importantly, the people who are not immune, either by way of natural infection or by way of vaccination, but are protected by the cordon of people who have acquired that immunity, while they are within that particular community or a place, if they venture out of that protective cordon to another part of the country or even another part of the city or another country, that protection is no longer available to them and they can still be infected. That is why it is important that for every person to acquire that immunity, preferably by vaccination rather than by infection, because infection itself may give a very variable level of immunity because of the very variable level of the viral load. Therefore, vaccination becomes an absolutely important element. But we have also had lessons for the health system. We cannot build a swift and strong surge response unless you have an efficient and equitable health system functioning even in the steady state when there is no emergency. How can we achieve our sustainable development goals or universal health coverage if we have a weak health system which is going to be constantly threatened by one emergency or other and fails to deliver the needed services even when there is no emergency? So all levels of the healthcare system are important to strengthen, but we have learned that ventilators and intensive care units alone will not help. That's the lesson of the first wave and even of the second wave. We know that we have to strengthen our primary healthcare system, both rural and urban. We know that we have to strengthen our secondary hospitals, particularly ensure that they're never deprived of oxygen and they have enough beds to deal with many of the cases who do not need advanced care. But we know that 80 to 85% will benefit from home care. So we need to strengthen home care arrangements, particularly through good primary healthcare systems. We also require that, and we need this primary healthcare systems not only in rural areas, but in urban areas, because urban primary healthcare has not really taken off through the urban health mission as yet. But we also recognize that citizen participation and center-state coordination are both vital elements. It cannot be always a top-down approach. It has to engage all elements of the society, and also it has to have a harmonious working relationship between the center and the states. These are some of the lessons we have learned over the first and the second waves. But vaccination is vital because it gives you a standardized dose of antigenic exposure, which gives you a reasonably long-lasting and strong immunity. And that is where your herd immunity or herd protection can come in handy. And now there is reasonable amount of evidence. If you cross the 60% threshold of vaccination in any population, the likelihood of viral transmission to others also comes down markedly. And we have an example even from Brazil, where in the province of Ceará, the moment a 60% threshold of vaccination was crossed, 95% reduction in the deaths and 86% reduction in infections was noted. So we do need to hasten our vaccination and spread it fast and farther. And that is one of the important priorities for the next part of the year. So we do recognize that we are also being challenged by variants. And there is a concern about variants, that a number of new variants are keeping up. But that is the nature of the virus to mutate, particularly when it finds obstruction to its easy transmission. It will try and mutate to overcome them. But it is for us to recognize that whether it is the original virus or the old variant or a new variant, and now people are worried about Delta Plus, apart from Delta, which is the dominant variant now, there are only 3 ways in which the virus can enter our body: the nose, the mouth, and the eyes. If we have adequate facial protection, if we avoid crowds, if we move in well-ventilated areas, and if we prevent super spreader events, then the virus, whether it is the Delta variant or the Delta Plus variant, cannot get easy access to our bodies. And that is where I believe our preventive measures must be very strongly mounted, both through public education as well as committed action by the policymakers. But we must also speed up our vaccination simultaneously so that we do provide as much protection to the vulnerable people first, essential workers as well, but extend it to other parts of the population and perhaps over a period of time, even children. There is some concern whether some of the variants are likely to have reduced response to the vaccines. It is quite clear that at least as far as the Delta variant is concerned, even though there is some reduced efficacy of several of the vaccines, the amount of immunity provided is reasonably protective against severe disease and death. So everybody must get vaccinated at the earliest opportunity that is offered. But there are several new vaccines on the way, which are not only looking at the spike protein, but they're looking at some of the interior antigens of the virus, and they are unlikely to be affected by the mutations. So some of these newer vaccines may arrive in the world after October or so. So there is enough strength in science to counter the ingenuity of the virus. And therefore, I do not think we should lose heart. What we need to do is to act with fortitude and confidence that we can actually counter this virus, provided we adopt cautionary behaviors and push our vaccination program soon. How long will this last? Will it affect children? There's been, again, a lot of speculation. I do not believe children will be preferentially targeted, but because most adults would have by then been vaccinated or acquired immunity through an infection, less of them would be available as susceptible individuals for infection, whereas children would still be very much exposed. And therefore, you may see more numbers of children being infected, but not necessarily with greater severity. But whether it is pediatric care facilities or adult care facilities, we must utilize this opportunity to strengthen our health system, which has been long overdue. And we must ensure that some of the inequities that exist between states in terms of healthcare facilities and health programs, right from prevention and health promotion to primary care, secondary care, and tertiary care, all of that is now going to be addressed by health system strengthening efforts. And if we do that countrywide, we'll be able to mount a very strong response, because we must recognize that weakness in any area, any province, can result in problems for the other parts of the country. Therefore, it has to be a unified countrywide response, strengthening the health system everywhere. And we must utilize this opportunity to put in more resources to build up a larger health workforce, better healthcare facilities, and ensure that our governance system of healthcare is much improved, so that we can achieve not only control over the pandemic, but also meet our universal health coverage goal and the sustainable development goals. Finally, I would like to say that there are also ecological lessons to be learned. These pandemics are not one-off events. In the last 60 years, there have been many new infectious disease outbreaks where microbes have traveled from animals to humans. That's not because animals have suddenly become malevolent towards human beings. It is because we have created conveyor belts by thoughtless deforestation, unplanned urbanization, and modifying our food and agricultural systems into factory-scale animal production for livestock, for meat production. There are many things that we have done which has upset the ecological balance and has forced as well as enabled microbes living in wild animals of the forest to enter our veterinary populations and human populations. So we need to build much stronger health systems, but also take effective preventive measures with the ecological sense of responsibility. And therefore, there is much that political leadership of this country can do to achieve all of these objectives. And I trust that the political leaders and the people who are leading public life in this gathering will take inspiration from the landmark accomplishments of P. Narasimha Rao Garu and Dr. Manmohan Singh Ji in ensuring that the future of the country is going to be safe, and that we will have to address not only the needs of the present generation, but the needs of the future generation by investing in health and environment in a sustainable manner. As the Nobel laureate for literature, Toni Morrison, said, if we do not create the future, the present extends itself. We cannot afford a weak and passive response. We need an active and assertive response to create that future, not only for ourselves and our younger generation, but possibly for the future generations to come. And that is the message that I would like to take from this event, where the memory of a great Prime Minister is being commemorated, and I've been graced by being gifted the award by another great Prime Minister. Thank you very much for this.
Thank you very, very much, Professor Srinath Reddy Garu. You made us all so proud. We already are proud of you, but you made us much more today by that very, very enlightening speech that you gave about today's major problem, that is the COVID, the current scenario, and the future challenges. Yes, I think the takeaway from your speech basically is that the health systems have to be improved at the primary, secondary, and tertiary levels, and also to make sure that we have an ecological balance, and that matters a lot. And the vaccination, the importance of vaccination. Thank you very much. It has been very, very helpful to, I'm sure, to whoever has been listening to you today. Thanking you once again. Now I call upon Shri Manikam Tagorji, the young and dynamic MP, 2 times MP from Tamil Nadu, who is also our AICC Secretary in charge, to come and give his message. Thank you.
Thank you, Gitaji. Respected former Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh ji, respected Leader of Opposition in the Rajya Sabha, Mallikarjun Kharge ji, PCC President, Captain Uttam Kumar Reddy ji, Member of Parliament, newly elected, appointed Telangana PCC President, Revanth Reddy ji, MP, Chairperson of PV Narasimha Centenary Celebrations Committee, Dr. Geeta Reddy ji, and the PVN NAR Lifetime Achievement Awardee, Padma Bhushan, Dr. Srinath Reddy ji, Shri Manohar Rao ji, former Union Minister Pallam Raju ji, and the other committee members, Sridhar Babu ji, Mahesh Gaud ji, Mallu Ravi ji, and all other friends. I'd like to thank the Telangana Congress Committee for organizing this centenary celebrations for the past 1 year. Particularly, Telangana Congress under Uttam Kumar Reddy ji formed the Centenary Celebrations Committee a year back to celebrate former Prime Minister Shri PV Narasimha Rao's centenary celebrations for the whole year. Many events were organized by the team, and former Prime Minister PV Narasimha Rao is an example about Congress organization which groomed him from a Congress worker to the Prime Minister of India. Prime Minister Rao had passed 2 important legislations in my view. One is the Panchayat Raj Act, which Kharge mentioned, and the second thing which I felt was the Mandal Commission implementation, which was pending for long years. 27% of reservation for the OBC in the central government jobs. Youth of India must understand how he took steps to make India grow slowly but in an organized way. History will always remember our former Prime Minister PV for standing as the political support to Dr. Manmohan Singh's economic liberalization, which set for the next generation reforms. Beloved Prime Minister, former Prime Minister Rao, is one of the greatest sons of Telangana, and we are happy to witness another son of Telangana, Dr. Srinath Reddy Garu, being awarded the Lifetime Achievement Awards today. I appreciate from the AICC the hard work of the Centenary Celebrations Committee of Dr. Geeta Reddy ji, Sridhar Babu ji, Mahesh Gaud ji, Mallu Ravi ji, and Hanumanth Rao ji for working in the COVID time to make this centenary celebrations a very important one. Thank you all.
Thank you, Manikam Tagore-ji. That was really very sweet and short. I'm happy that you have participated in spite of your busy schedule. Now, I would like to invite, though we have all been together in one state, the erstwhile Andhra Pradesh, today we have to call him our guest, our neighbor. That is Mr. Pallam Rajugaru, who was a Union Minister for Human Development Resources, which is a portfolio that even P.V. Narasimha Rao Garu held. So I call upon him to give his brief message, and I feel that 3 minutes would be ideal, and I think it's nice that our Manik Tagore-ji has set the pace. So I invite Mr. Pallam Rajugaru.
Thank you, Geeta Reddy Garu. Chairman of the P.V. Narasimha Rao Centenary Celebrations, Srimati Geeta Reddy Garu. Honorable Chief Guest of the function, Dr. Manmohan Singh Ji. Honorable Leader of the Opposition in Rajya Sabha and Senior Leader, Shri Mallikarjun Kharge Ji. Recipient of the award, Dr. Srinath Reddy Garu. Sri Manohar Rao Garu. General Secretary in charge of Telangana, Sri Manikam Tagore Ji. PCC President, Captain Uttam Kumar Reddy Ji. Senior Leader, Sri Jana Reddy Garu. The new PCC President, Sri Revanth Reddy Ji. Senior Congress leaders, including Sri Jana Reddy Garu, Sri Ponnal Lakshmaya Garu, and others who are present in the function. And ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, I would like to thank the Geeta Reddy Garu and the committee for giving me the opportunity to be a part of this function. As a person who's had an association for 3 generations with late Sri P.V. Narasimha Rao Garu, and being a proud successor of his in the Human Resources Development Ministry, I'm privileged to be participating in this function. I would also like to thank Dr. Srinath Reddy Garu for the enlightening talk and on a topic that is so relevant for the times, and all the precautions that we must take in order to avoid the brunt of the anticipated third wave. Sri P.V. Narasimha Rao Garu's birthday function and his anniversary, his death anniversary functions have been regularly held in Andhra Bhavan, Delhi, to which Dr. Manmohan Singh has been a regular visitor. And having worked with him, I think remembering the two major contributions, significant contributions that Dr. P.V. Narasimha Rao Ji did for the country was the economic liberalization, which unleashed the true potential of the country. And the other important decision, in my view, is in establishing the Look East policy in forging a close trade link with our neighbors. Although Dr. Manmohan Singh Ji, tried to strengthen that by preparing the ground for the being a member of the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, it is unfortunate that the present government could not bring it to a proper conclusion. The other significant contribution of Dr. Shri P.V. Narasimha Rao Ji has been in heralding India as a prominent nuclear power with the measures that he took as the Prime Minister for detonating the nuclear bomb, which was subsequently detonated during Vajpayee Ji's time. He was very clear on the nuclear deterrence policy, and also in the responsible usage of nuclear power. And the steps that he took towards the detonation of the bomb really heralded India into the super league of nuclear powers. There are a number of contributions that he has done in his various ministries, and one of the significant things that he did in the Human Resources Development Ministry was the establishment of the Navodaya Vidyalayas, Jawahar Navodaya Vidyalayas, which gave access to residential facilities for students in every district, a residential facility that was comprehensive, and from where some of our brightest students come out. Even today, the best performing schools in the country are the Jawahar Navodaya Vidyalayas. I would have liked to have a term as long as he did to make a significant contribution in that sphere, but I would like to end my speech by thanking Dr. Manmohan Singh and our leader, Srimati Sonia Gandhi, who gave me the opportunity to be the successor of P.V. Narasimha Rao Garu in that portfolio. Thank you and Jai Hind.
Thank you very much, Pallam Raju Garu, that you made us feel that we may be geographically divided, but we are still a one state in a way. We are the Telugus and we are together. It was a nice message that you gave us. Now, I would request the following speakers, అందరినీ నేను రిక్వెస్ట్ చేసేది ఏంటంటే కొద్దిగా మనం 1 hour టైమే తీసుకున్నాము ప్రధానమంత్రి దగ్గర. We took 1 hour's time, but then టైం షార్ట్ అయిపోతా ఉంది బాగా. అందుకని నెక్స్ట్ స్పీకర్ ఇక్కడ లేరు కానీ వారు ఖమ్మంలో ఉన్నారు. సిఎల్పి లీడర్ శ్రీ బట్టి విక్రమార్క గారుని మాట్లాడమని కోరుతా ఉన్నాను. హ్యాస్ హీ లాగ్డ్ ఇన్? నో? I then next invite our mana senior nayakulu, most senior nayakulu in Telangana politics, Shri Janareddy garni vachi మీరు మాట్లాడితే దానికి అందం వస్తుందన్న, ప్లీజ్ రండి, నేను ఇన్వైట్ చేస్తున్నా, మీ సిస్టర్గా నేను మిమ్మల్ని ఇన్వైట్ చేస్తున్నా, కమ్ అండ్ గివ్ యువర్ మెసేజ్, ఐడ్ బీ వెరీ హ్యాపీ. 1 నిమిషమా 2 నిమిషాలు అది మీకు వదిలేస్తాను నేను.
శతజయంత్యుత్సవ అధ్యక్షులు శ్రీమతి గీతారెడ్డి గారు, కార్యక్రమంలో పాల్గొన్న ముఖ్య నేతలు, ఆ తర్వాత ఈరోజు ఈ కార్యక్రమం యొక్క చీఫ్ ముఖ్య అతిథి మాజీ ప్రధానమంత్రి మన్మోహన్ సింగ్ గారు, ఇతర పెద్దలు ఖర్గే గారు, మాణిక్యం గారు, అందరికీ ఈ సందర్భంగా నమస్కారం, ధన్యవాదాలు తెలియజేస్తూ, ముఖ్యంగా కాంగ్రెస్ పార్టీ పక్షాన తెలంగాణ రాష్ట్ర కాంగ్రెస్ పార్టీ సంవత్సరం నుంచి వివిధ కార్యక్రమాలు నిర్వహిస్తూ ఈరోజు ముగింపు సమావేశాన్ని కూడా చాలా గొప్పగా మీరు నిర్వర్తించినందుకు మన కాంగ్రెస్ పార్టీ అందరినీ నేను అభినందిస్తున్నాను. ఆ తర్వాత వారందరికీ ధన్యవాదాలు తెలియజేస్తున్నాను. దానికంటే ఇక ప్రధానమైనటువంటి విషయం మీ అందరికీ తెలుసు, మాజీ ప్రధానమంత్రి పివి నరసింహారావు గారు, వారి యొక్క ప్రత్యేకతలు మీ అందరికీ తెలిసినటువంటి వాటన్నిటినీ నేను ఏకరువు పెట్టిన అవసరం. ఆయన సంఘ సంస్కర్త కాదు, మానవతావాది, బహుభాషా కోవిదుడు, భాషావేత్త, సాహితీవేత్త, వీటన్నిటికంటే పరిపాలనా దక్షుడు. అనేక విపత్కర పరిస్థితుల్లో ఈ దేశానికి, ఈ రాష్ట్రానికి ఆయన చేసిన సేవలు గర్వించదగ్గాయి. అంతకంటే తెలుగు బిడ్డగా మనందరికీ గర్వకారణం. అటువంటి వారి యొక్క ఈ ఉత్సవాలు జరుపుకోవటమే కాదు, వీటి ద్వారా స్ఫూర్తి పొంది భారతదేశంలో రాజకీయ నాయకులతో పాటు సమాజం వారిని స్ఫూర్తి, నిజమైనటువంటి వారి ఆశయాల్ని, ఆలోచనల్ని మనం రంగరించుకొని వారికి ఆ స్ఫూర్తిని పొందటం ముదాం. అందుకు ఆయనకి ఈ సందర్భంగా నేను ఘనమైనటువంటి నివాళులు అర్పిస్తూ వారి స్ఫూర్తితో ముందుకు సాగుదాను. సెలవు.
పొన్నాల లక్ష్మయ్య గారు.
క్షమించాలి,
సమయం తీసుకుంటున్నందుకు. సమయం ఇప్పటికే అయిపోయింది. పెద్దలు మన్మోహన్ సింగ్ గారు, ఖర్గే గారు, అదేవిధంగా పల్లం రాజు గారు, ఈరోజు అవార్డు తీసుకున్నటువంటి డాక్టర్ శ్రీనాథ్ రెడ్డి గారు, ఇంకా ఇతర పెద్దలు, పిసిసి అధ్యక్షులు ఉత్తమ్ కుమార్ రెడ్డి గారు, ఈ నిర్వహణ సంవత్సరం చేస్తున్నటువంటి అధ్యక్షురాలు, సంఘ అధ్యక్షురాలు గీతారెడ్డి గారు, వారి సభ్యులు, సోదరులారా, సోదరిమల్లారా, నేను కావాలని అవకాశం తీసుకున్నాను. 48 సంవత్సరాల కింద మొట్టమొదటిసారి పరిచయం అమెరికాలో మాజీ ముఖ్యమంత్రిగా. వారితో కొద్ది రోజులు చర్చించడం, తిరగడం, తిప్పడం ఒక అంశం. రెండవది, ఆయన పోటీ చేస్తున్న పార్లమెంటు నియోజకవర్గంలో 1980 కానీ 84 రెండిట్లో ఒక అసెంబ్లీ నియోజకవర్గానికి ఇన్ఛార్జిగా, ఆ ఎన్నికల్లో పనిచేసిన వాడిగా ఒక్క నిమిషం మాట్లాడదామని వచ్చాను, కానీ వేరే ఉద్దేశం కాదు. ఎన్నో పర్యాయాలు, ఎన్నో సందర్భాలు ఇవి చారిత్రాత్మకం. కానీ గతంలో కూడా ఈ సమావేశంలో మాట్లాడాను కొన్ని విషయాలు. ఆర్థిక, సామాజిక, రాజకీయ కోణంలో దేశ పౌరులందరినీ సమానంగా చూడడానికి, దేశ పౌరులందరికీ సమాన అవకాశాలు కల్పించడానికి ప్రభుత్వ పరంగా చేసిన ఆలోచనలు కానీ, ప్రణాళికలు కానీ, ఇది ఒక చారిత్రాత్మకం, ఇది స్ఫూర్తిదాయకం. ఇది మరింత వేగంగా కొనసాగించే విధంగా మన ప్రభుత్వాలు చేస్తూ వచ్చాయి. దాన్ని దృష్టిలో పెట్టుకునే ఈరోజు వారికి మనం ఘనమైన నివాళులతో పాటు ఆ స్ఫూర్తిని ముందుకు తీసుకెళ్ళడానికి మన కార్యక్రమాలు శాశ్వతంగా ఉంటాయి అని, ఈ దేశం, ఈ సమాజం, కాంగ్రెస్ పార్టీ విధానాలు, కాంగ్రెస్ పార్టీ కార్యక్రమాలు ఆ దిశలో కొనసాగుతున్న నేపథ్యంలో ఒక మారుమూల గ్రామం నుంచి ఒక శాసనసభ్యుడిగా ఎన్నికై ప్రధానమంత్రి స్థాయి వరకు వచ్చినటువంటి పివి నరసింహారావు గారి చరిత్ర తెలియంది కాదు. కానీ ఇది కాంగ్రెస్ పార్టీ యొక్క గొప్ప కంట్రిబ్యూషన్ అనేది, గుర్తింపు అనేది, తద్వారా కాంగ్రెస్ పార్టీ దేశానికి చేసిన సేవలు అనే విషయం ఈ సందర్భంగా తెలియజేస్తూ ముగిస్తాను. ధన్యవాదాలు గీతారెడ్డి గారు. థ్యాంక్ యూ.
సభకి నమస్కారం. మీ అందరికీ తెలిసిన విషయం, గౌరవనీయ ఉత్తమ్ కుమార్ రెడ్డి గారు పోయిన సంవత్సరం పివి నరసింహారావు గారి శతజయంతి ఉత్సవాల కమిటీ ఏర్పాటు చేసి ఇప్పటి వరకు జరిగిన కార్యక్రమాలన్నింటి కూడా చేయూతనిస్తూ ఈ సంవత్సరం పాటు జరిగిన కార్యక్రమాన్ని విజయం చేయడానికి దోహదం చేశారు. పివి నరసింహారావు గారి జీవితం ఒక తెరిచిన పుస్తకం. ఆయన జీవితం మనందరికీ, ముఖ్యంగా కాంగ్రెస్ వారికి ఎప్పటికి కూడా ఒక పాఠంలాగే ఉంటుంది. సెంటనరీ సెలబ్రేషన్ కమిటీ ఇవాళతో ముగుస్తున్నా, నేను పెద్దలు గవర్నర్ ఉత్తమ్ కుమార్ రెడ్డి గారు అన్నారు, పివి నరసింహారావు గారి చరిత్ర ఆ పుస్తకం ఎప్పటికీ తెరిచే ఉంటుంది. వచ్చే జనరేషన్స్ అన్నీ కూడా ఎప్పటికప్పుడు వాళ్ళు పేజీలు తింపుతూ చదువుకోవచ్చు, కానీ ఆ పుస్తకం ఎప్పుడు మూయబడదనే మాట నిన్న చెప్పడం జరిగింది. పివి నరసింహారావు గారి చరిత్ర ఎప్పటికీ ఉంటుంది, మన తర్వాత వచ్చే జనరేషన్గా ఉంటుంది. ఇవాళ ఈ కార్యక్రమంలో టైం ఇచ్చి ఇక్కడ వచ్చి అవార్డు ఇవ్వడానికి ముందుకు వచ్చిన పెద్దలు, గౌరవనీయులు మాజీ ప్రధానమంత్రి గారు మన్మోహన్ సింగ్ గారికి, ఖార్గే గారికి, అవార్డు యాక్సెప్ట్ చేసిన గొప్ప డాక్టర్ శ్రీనాథ్ రెడ్డి గారికి, ఈ కార్యక్రమంలో పాల్గొన్నటువంటి మాండికం ఠాగూర్ గారికి, పెద్దలు గవర్నర్ మనోహర్ రావు గారికి, ఉత్తమ్ రెడ్డి గారికి, శ్రీమతి గీతారెడ్డి గారికి, వి హనుమంతరావు గారికి, నూతనంగా పీసీ అధ్యక్షుడు నియమించినటువంటి పాల్గొన్నటువంటి రేవంత్ రెడ్డి గారికి, బట్టి విక్రమ గారికి, ప్రసంగించిన పల్లం రాజు గారికి, పాల్గొన్నటువంటి ఏఐసి కార్యదర్శులు బోసరాజు గారు, శ్రీనివాసన్ గారు, అదేవిధంగా శ్రీధర్ బాబు గారు, ప్రత్యక్షంగా ఇక్కడికి వచ్చి పాల్గొన్నటువంటి పెద్దలు గవర్నర్లు జానారెడ్డి గారు, గవర్నర్లు పొన్నా లక్ష్మయ్య గారు, గడ్డం వినోద్ గారు. ఇక్కడ జరిగినటువంటి మెమోంటో గురించి పాపం 4-5 రోజులు కష్టపడి తానే స్వయంగా కరీంనగర్తో మాట్లాడి లేపాక్షులతో మాట్లాడి చక్కటి కరీంనగర్ అంటే పివి నరసింహారావు గవర్నమెంట్ కరీంనగర్లో పిలిగిరితో చేపట్టినటువంటి మొమెంట్ ఇవ్వడానికి ముందుకు వచ్చిన గడ్డం వినోద్ గారు, ఈ కార్యక్రమాన్ని చూస్తున్నటువంటి శ్రవణ్ కుమార్ రెడ్డి గారు, పెయింటింగ్ వేయించుకొచ్చినటువంటి శ్యామోహన్ గారు, అంబాజ వినోద్ గారు, వేణు గారు, మల్లు రవి గారు, నిరంజన్ గారు, అదేవిధంగా ఈ పెయింటింగ్ వేసినటువంటి గీతా భాస్కర్ గారు, ప్రతిభా దాల్ గారు, అన్నిటికీ మించి ఈ సంవత్సరం పొడుగునా ఈ కార్యక్రమం ఎంత చక్కగా జరుగుతున్నాయంటే దీనికి కారణం కేకే రాజా గారు, మేడం ఈ ఈవెంట్ మేనేజర్ కేకే రాజా గారు. ఈ కార్యక్రమం అన్ని రకాలుగా చూసినట్టు దీపక్ జాన్ గారు, పిఆర్ఓ హరి గారు, వీరితో పాటు ఈ కార్యక్రమం సహకరించి అందరికీ కూడా పివి నరసింహారావు కమిటీ తరఫున మనస్ఫూర్తి ధన్యవాదాలు తెలియజేస్తూ ముగిస్తున్నాము. జై హింద్. ప్రోగ్రామ్ ఇస్ బిన్ క్లోజ్డ్.